$2.5 trillion. That is the amount of money that is currently invested in ESG funds, environmental, social, and governance. And it's something that is extremely popular and something that has been in the news recently. So in today's video, we need to describe what is ESG, should you invest in it, and why it is even in the news to begin with. Let's go ahead and break it down. Now first, before I get into the ESG part of it, remember this is a fund. It is a collection of companies that you can invest in for one easy and simple price. So it's not just one thing, it is several companies inside of an ESG fund. But I've already brought it up a few times. What is ESG? ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. Any company that falls under ESG means that it has met some standard for the environment, for social policies, meaning do parents have enough leave? Do people like working there? And do parents have enough, parental leave and all that type of stuff? Are they nice to their employees? And then you have governance. Do they follow the laws? Are they, crazy with their accounting and they run into a bunch of issues there? What we try to do, or what these companies rather try to do, whether it's Vanguard or BlackRock or any other fund company, is create a scale and grade every company and say, look, you're great on the environment, you're great for your employees, you follow the laws, you get to be inside of this particular fund. And the purpose of it is to make you, the investor, feel better. Because for me, I don't know about you, there's some companies I just don't feel great about investing in. Okay, I just don't. And the ESG fund gives me a little bit of confidence that they have passed some standard and that everything I'm investing in, I can feel better about. That is what the purpose of ESG is. For example, I've said this, I've been saying it for years. I was not comfortable investing in energy, especially in 2022. And I had two reasons for that. Even more if I really want to count it. But remember my background, I'm from Oklahoma. It's an oil producing state. I've seen great times when oil is great and everybody's getting paid. I've seen it when it just hasn't. I just kind of have a personal history. I'm like, oil doesn't make me feel great. But in 2022, I didn't want to feel like I was rooting for the whole Russian-Ukraine conflict to continue just so I could make money on the stock. I just personally didn't feel good about that. And that's just me. I'm somebody who refuses to invest in a company like Wells Fargo, even when it's up, because they have a very bad history with African Americans. That's just me, right? That standard doesn't apply to everybody. However, when you are investing in a lot of different funds, you have zero control on what is in the fund, whether it makes you happy, glad, embarrassed, whatever. You just get whatever's in the fund. So what ESG is say, look, we have screened every company here. They've passed our little scorecard. You should feel good about what you're investing in. Now, there are some advantages and disadvantages of doing that. Advantages, depending on what line you want to draw, you can feel good about what's inside some of these funds. And some of them do make money. Now, the question is whether or not it makes more money than your standard index fund. Does it make more money than the stock market as a whole? And are they diversified? The reason why I bring that up is because if I'm looking at a regular ESG fund that says that any oil company, Exxon, Chevron, so on and so forth, are bad on the environment, and they are, then I can invest in those. Well, so what happens in a year like 2022 when energy was one of the only sectors that was up? Would you have taken on more losses in a case like that? So that's one thing that can set ESG funds back. Another thing is they tend to have a bit higher fees than your regular index funds, which means that more money in fees means less money for you. So that's something you want to consider as well. Now, the reason why ESG is in the news, honestly, it's more of a political thing that doesn't really make sense, but I will just quickly explain it. ESG is an acronym, just like CRT and a bunch of other stuff that people can throw on their own meanings to and make it feel good or bad. But honestly, in and of itself, that is what it is built for, is to create a scorecard to make investors feel better about what they're investing in. Whether you want to invest in an ESG fund or a regular fund is totally up to you. And it really depends on what is in the fund, how much money does it make you, and whether or not that means anything to you. The reason why I say whether or not it means anything to you is because let's say that you're investing in an ESG fund and it has one company that you do not like. What percentage of that entire fund is in that company? Right? So for example, I brought up a fund, this was back in 2021, and it was one for the NAACP. It's an African American organization, the oldest organization for African Americans in civil rights. For those that don't know, y'all should know the NAACP. But in either case, They had a fund back in 2021 and they had Wells Fargo in it. Now I'm like, why would Wells Fargo be inside this fund? However, the truth was it was 0.1% of the entire fund. Is it enough for me to say, no, I don't want to invest in it because it was a tiny, tiny, tiny sliver? Or did that one company taint the entire thing for me? That's a line that you have to draw on your own. And that's a part of being an investor, is deciding how you want to invest your money. Do you want to go with an ESG fund? Do you want to go with a regular fund? Do you want to say no to all funds and control your own portfolio and choose every single stock in it? That question is totally up to you. But at the end of the day, what really matters is, are you making money and is it going to help to advance your goals? If you are fine with paying a little bit more in fees for an ESG fund and you can still become a millionaire at the time that you want to, go for it if that fits for you. There's nothing wrong with doing so long as it helps you to get to where you want to go. But it is your path and your journey, and you have control on whether or not you want to invest in an ESG fund, or you want to invest in a regular fund, or you want to choose and buy your own stock. So that's everything you need to know about ESG on a high level. If you're looking for other investing strategies that you should know of, especially if you are a beginner, you want to check out this video right here.